Flirting with the Fish, a podcast series where the fish is that idea or that mission which our guest flirts with. When we flirt, we know we're flirting, and hence it can go in any direction. But we continue to flirt because that's the joy. The process to catch the fish is the joy. In this series, we will hear all those wonderful innovators, entrepreneurs, policymakers, and game changers who have or had a fish they truly, deeply, madly flirt with. And we shall not just enjoy, but also take sidekick for our own flirt and fishes. So welcome to Flirting with the Fish. My name is SoniaChoksi. Dr. Sunil Shekhawat, lead product vertical at NASCOM. He's leading the initiative to build and support software tech product ecosystem surrounding SMEs and startups in India. He's also the co-lead at NASCOM Global VC Connect, an initiative to connect Indian startups to global venture capital community. But this is his present avatar. And if there is one person who has changed his game at the peak of his career, in the middle of his mission, to maybe unknowingly become the center of thousands of people's mission, it is none other than Dr. Sunil Shekhawat himself. But why doctor? Isn't it? Let's connect with the man himself and learn it all. So what is the story about you being the doctor in your name? What is that?
So, did we ever spoke about this, Sonia?
No, we haven't.
Okay, chalo. Let me take you through that journey.
Hmm.
So I come from a defense background. My dad was in army, and we are a typical middle class people.
Mhm.
My family is based out of a tier 3 city near NCR and Alwar.
Mhm.
Now, like any middle class family, I also had the aspirations to get become a doctor engineer kind of person,
Hmm.
government job.
Mhm.
So I studied I prepared for medical. I got into that. By the way, before that, so I was studying both maths and biology in my +1, +2.
Okay.
I personally consider myself as a techie person in mind. My dad wanted me to become a doctor because he got medical stream. I was preparing for medical, and at the same time, after preparing for a year, I thought to just appear for the engineering also. I could not clear medical, but I secured 11th rank in Rajasthan in engineering exam.
Wow.
So it was a shocker, but then the reason I went for the preparation was the family, which usually the case, which usually used to be the case 15, 20 years back. We all chase dreams based on our parents' aspirations.
Yeah.
Prepared again, got into medical, took the dental BDS. I did my BDS from Government College, Calcutta, Government College. Was lucky enough to get a job, immediately after passing out, getting a job in under West Bengal State Services.
Mhm.
Was lucky enough not to get the right postings, but get postings in rural and far-flung areas. So within 2 years, I realized probably not my cup of tea. Let's think about it.
Huh.
Then I was trying to figure out what I should be doing next.
Hmm.
And I thought, let's try to get into the management side. That's the only. After medical, you can either go for your post graduation in medical and then, or look for a generic course which covers up everything horizontal. So I thought to do my management, and I did got into Symbiosis
Mhm.
to do my MBA finance marketing. Within 3 months, I realized that there are certain gaps in the healthcare industry, and with studies on and getting exposed to the business environment through the MBA. That gave me that luxury to think beyond those typical bookish things. So I started exploring what were the gaps and what were the challenges we as medical practitioners faced while practicing in clinics. Based on that, I started my own. I started my first venture, So that was that was a SaaS platform in practice management. So how to help the dental practitioners who are not so big like Fortis or Apollo, who can afford to have those servers and huge softwares to manage their patient. But these are the clinics which are probably making a 2 lakh or a 3 lakh kind of revenues, and they don't go for an automation, right? Because of their limited exposure to the patients. So can we create something for these guys to automate their system, to manage their inventory, to manage their patient appointments, their history, their track record, everything. So that's how we started. I reached out to an alumnus of my MBA college, and he was owning a software company. So he got convinced, and he onboarded on my idea. So there my entrepreneurship journey started. We built up a prototype, and I was in my final semester MBA, and even before ending my final semester exam, my product was out in the market.
Wow.
And while we were building the product, so there was a distant family friend who liked the idea, and he invested a very small seed amount of 20 lakhs. The product got into market, did some fantastic work, scaled it up in Pune, and then out of Pune, Jaipur, Delhi, Faridabad, and many other places. So we scaled up very fast in the next 3 years, raised another range amount of 60 lakhs. This is the story of 2015. And after raising money, in that whole journey of growing big in a short span, we forget some of the basics of business, and that's where we collapsed. While I was moving out, I was, again trying to find out whether my next endeavor should be entrepreneurship again, or getting into a established startup, learn more about running a business and more, deeper understanding of the business, and then start again, or get into something which is the other side of the story. So that's where my journey with my current organization started, where they expected me to, based on my journey of, so it's very commonly said, it's the failure which really teaches you, it's not the success. So, and I had a lot of failures in that 4 years journey of my entrepreneurship. So I think that was the thing which probably my current organization picked up and realized that this guy has a lot to share with people, so that they don't fail at least. And if you don't know what to do, at least he knows what not to be done, right? So that's where I joined NASCOM, and since then with the startup ecosystem, working with the founder, sharing my little learnings. So that's my short, long story short.
How did NASCOM discover you?
So that's again a very interesting story. An old friend of mine, I was trying to hire at a point of time in my startup, because his ask was a little higher, and it was happening in a very candid way because we were friends for a long time. So his ask was X, and my investors were not convinced on because we were angel funded, we had limited those 50-60 lakhs, which had to take us for a year or so. My investors were not agreeing to shell out that much of it. And that's how we got separated. And this guy later on joined NASCOM as a in a different region, while I was moving out, and we didn't got disconnected. I mean, the friendship had nothing to do with our business negotiation.
Right.
We were always in touch when I was moving out. So this was the guy who brought me back. His name is Sahil. Currently, he's a global business head of a leading startup. Right. So this guy, he internally did all the groundwork within NASCOM, that the kind of person. So they were looking for a profile in North India, because probably that time NASCOM didn't had that very strong connect in the startup community, and we were internally struggling to have that positioning in the northern ecosystem. So that's how I got into it. So this friend of mine, Sahil, he brought me to NASCOM, and then that's where my journey started.
Amazing how the dots get connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This was a complete surprise to me. That, and we whenever he's based out of Mumbai. Whenever he's in Delhi, we catch up, we go for drinks and all. We always discuss all these things. There was a time I was hiring you, and then you hired me.
And like in completely different avatars, not
Yeah.
not just hiring, but like
Yeah.
from where to where, and then like across the horizons with few people turning out the table for each other.
And that was a great learning, but in this whole story, definitely tell you one thing, that I learned one thing very strong, that it's not between the, it's not between the businesses, it's between the people.
Yeah.
Not that Identify. So by the way, my company name was Identify. So Identify was hiring this guy. It was me trying to get this guy. And it was me and he who continued our story of friendship. And then this thing got dragged, in a positive sense. So the relationship really pays if you just need to be transparent, you just need to be honest to people.
Yeah.
And when I look back, I think the only reason we were able to continue this even after that failure of that business negotiation was because both of us were very transparent. We were sure that I want this below this, and I was very sure that this is what I have, this is what I can offer.
Yeah.
And we were very honest to each other. I think that was the sole reason we were able to continue, and that really paid off to both of us.
And that is just such a basic human attribute, but so often we miss it. Just the transparency and being precious and being genuine to that relationship in the first place, not the output of it.
Yeah. See.
So what happened to that middle class boy who was trying to ride a dream of the parents?
So when I went to do my MBA, my father didn't speak to me for next some 40 days. He didn't speak to me, but he was super angry when I left my job. That's the aspirational thing every father wants to have their kids settled at the earliest as possible.
Yeah.
But when I started, when I got into my company, so because I had the right mentors, I had so there was a professor from who was ex-CEO of Apollo Tires, who was faculty in our MBA college. He started mentoring me, and he really handholded me a lot. So I told him that my dad is not very happy. And when we cracked the very first deal of our business, so this professor of mine, he came all the way to Delhi, met my father, told him that what his son is trying to achieve, what his son is trying to do. And I think that was the point where my father realized that let him do whatever he's doing.
He came down from Pune to Delhi to meet your dad.
Yes.
Just to tell him that his son is doing fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think he's actually, so what we end of the day become in our journey is exactly the reflection of who are the people who really mentored or guided you in the beginning. I think if I'm doing good, it's the reflection of what I was told in my initial business journey, and I think largely the credit goes to my professor.
Amazing. This is something we've seen leaders and we've seen people who love and appreciate and motivate others, but this is another level to go to travel geographies to let a father be convinced or be at least felt better about the son's journey because I mean your professor really felt that it matters to you, and it mattered to him that what matters to you is sort of taken care of, and he could also probably relate with your father and knew that it is important.
Yeah.
And clearly, that makes sense, because I mean, like I was saying, that I see you like that, so it totally makes sense of, you may not have articulated this very clinically ever before, that okay, this is what it is, and this is how I've been, and this is what I got, and hence I'm like this. But yeah, here you are, you're doing pretty much similar things, or in the space, same spirit at least, to people.
So it's really pathetic. I mean, I have friends, and when we are all drunk, we talk about this, and everyone appreciate and everyone accept the fact that if not dentistry, what then? What should I do then? I have options. I mean,
Yeah.
I think moving out of my medical stream, I think that gave me a better perspective about the world, about the people around, about what exists around me.
Sure.
If I'm not doing this, probably I can look for something else.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
With them, I think I don't see any option with them. I mean, either you practice in your clinic or you apply for a government job. That's all.
You talked about the solution that you were offering. What were you trying to change by doing that?
So my first thing was dentistry. The dental awareness should be there. Number one. The second thing is I wanted the practitioners to be a little more technology friendly and start adopting the things which are meant for the future. So I was trying to tell them, boss, use this software. We were typically using a freemium model. We were telling them, use this software for a year. And if we are trying to divert traffic to the clinic also, if it really happens, we'll come out to a price maybe next year. Sure. But start using a software which makes your life easy in terms of your appointment management, your patient history management. Because what happens is in a dental clinic, because the software was specifically aligned for the dental clinics, if there is an emergency while you are treating a patient, you have nowhere to go. And you are not qualified enough to handle that emergency. Right? So if imagine a patient who undergoing a root canal treatment comes across a cardiac arrest. As a dental practitioner, what are you going to do?
Oh, good.
Qualified enough to treat him. You don't have the facility around you to get the patient treated.
Yeah.
While in case of MBBS, the person is also qualified and you are most likely practicing in a hospital.
Right.
So every machinery is there to take care of that patient.
Yes.
But what about a dental clinic? You are taking so much of risk while treating a patient in your clinic. And one such case and your career is finished.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So my only thing was you start using this software, which helps you keep the patient's medical record in line. Before you're starting a treatment of a patient, get into the medical records of him. I would say that this will completely eliminate the risk of having such complications in a clinic.
Yeah.
But probably it can mitigate it to a very large extent.
Absolutely.
So that's my unique, thought process. I was trying to convince the dental practitioners that time.
And as a person, as a human being, as an individual, as Sunil, what were you trying to prove?
So honestly speaking, I was not trying to prove anything to anyone. I'm trying to do something which I found was apt for that very moment. I thought management have given me an opportunity to think broadly. But I, as a practitioner, as a dental practitioner, never thought of. So, and being a practitioner of that stream in past, I definitely knew what are the challenges in the life of a dental practitioner. I just thought to solve that. I just thought to create a solution to that. That's and nothing apart from that. There was no proving anything. There was no showing off anything to anyone that boss, I can do this. I was not trying to show it to anyone. just trying to do something which was making me happier.
And of all the shades of the red, blue, green that you see day in and out, what kind of people, the person, inspire you today?
Being a community person, so I've seen, generally two kind of founders. One who is a typical community guy, completely involved in not just building his own business, but also building up of a community around,
Hmm.
who are really, really involved in creation of not just a business, but a larger ecosystem. And then there are people who are so focused about their work that they have completely committed themselves to the business.
Hmm.
By default, when a business grows, ecosystem grows, but you're not you're not trying to play an active role in creating that ecosystem apart from creating a business. I don't say that it's wrong, but I think the first category of people who at the same time while building their business are open to work with people around. We work with people who are probably one step behind them. I think I really appreciate those kind of people, and I really love working with those kind of people. And I think leaving the 10% apart, 90% of the founders with whom I have worked with, most of the people have been very handy, and they have been very supportive to the people around. And I think that's one of the major reasons why the ecosystem is growing, why Silicon Valley became Silicon Valley, because the founders started supporting founders. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the culture which is getting created in our country also. I'm seeing so many, not just in tier 1 cities, not just in tier metros. I keep interacting with people which start just starting in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities also.
Yeah.
People, I think the bonding between the founders in a tier 2 or a tier 3 city is even stronger than a metro city. Right? So, and there might be some kind of understanding gap between a metro founder in a metro and a founder in a tier 3.
Uh-huh.
They get a chance to interact with. I think that all those boundaries are cleared off.
If I was to take away investment and team from a business, then what is that other important aspect of growth that makes it or breaks it?
It's the attitude. It's the attitude and your ability to handle people. I think the biggest quality of any leader or any entrepreneur has to be to deal with the people.
Yeah.
People of diverse, I mean, not of, but every, people are always of diverse background, diverse mindset.
Yeah.
And you need to change your gears while dealing with people immediately. Super agile, you have to be in your thought process. Right. So I think that's one thing which I think is most important while you are getting into anything, be it entrepreneurship or be it anything. You need to have that understandings wherever you are trying to be a leader. Wherever you see yourself as a leader, the very first quality is one, you should be able to identify people around you who is worthy, who is not, and not just worthy and not, but you should be able to give the required attention, the required credits to the people around you. So I think that's one thing which is very important.
The founder's attitudes.
Yeah.
Would it be true to say that the founder's attitude also reflects into their teams and their investors?
Absolutely. The culture starts from the top. The culture always starts from the top. If you are seeing in an organization that a manager or somebody at the same level is not up to the mark in terms of qualitative aspect of work or something, it reflects the qualitative part of the culture of that organization. And the culture starts from the entrepreneur. It's the entrepreneur, it's the founder who sets up the culture of the organization. If there are wrong people in the team, it's the culture that not set.
what are the practices that are now coming into place into the business ecosystem that were probably not so articulated in a traditional setup?
I think it's the aggression to grow in a shorter span, which I think I'm not sure. I mean, whether it used to be there or it's only I who missed it out in the past, in the previous generation entrepreneur. But I think the current generation entrepreneur, they are super aggressive about growth in the shortest possible time. That's which is really driving the unicorn creation in India.
Yes.
In 3-4 years, if we have more than around 35 unicorns today, I think it's the aggression of the founders to grow so fast that they want to conquer the world, not just their own country.
That's true. That's absolutely true. You're absolutely right. Hardly ever a culture of trying to be a unicorn or trying to do not in terms of a label, but trying to do things at the global level or at a large level. It was mostly about having a business to run your family and to make your ends meet. And some would do it a little more ambitiously than the others, but that would be about it. But yes, now today it is all about the larger problem and the larger pie in the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the last question that I have on my mind is, would Dr. Sunil Shekhawat would rather be an entrepreneur now?
That's interesting one. At times I also question this to myself. It be.
Would you?
I do. I mean, entrepreneurship always excites me.
Mm.
But I don't know. I mean, I really don't know about this. Maybe not.
But it's not a complete no.
No, absolutely.
Never.
There's no.
Yeah.
I may go back to the clinical practice also.
You can go back to the clinical practice? Oh my God.
My friends who have the clinical practice in Delhi, they keep on asking me that we don't really want to shut down our clinic on a Sunday or a Saturday.
Yeah.
Since you're off that day, why don't you come and practice on those entire life? So there is no to anything in the world.
Oh my God. I'm curious that if a 35-year-old person, man or a woman, anywhere in the world, black or white, rich or poor, is listening to you, just that they're at 35 or around 35, what are you saying to them, Dr. Sunil Shekhawat?
So this is I only thing I would pass on to people around me is do what really makes you happy. Money and everything will flow. It will flow. Just that try to do something which really makes you happy. There's no point in dragging you. So I know all of us have our own requirements around it. We have to sustain ourselves, we have to sustain our lifestyle, our family, and all those things. But try as much as possible to live your life in accordance to your personality. Don't try to push yourself in something which really is not meant for you. I mean that's the only advice I would like to pass on to the people.
Like I said, that I was very curious about all these things that we've been chatting, and you have always in your very, very soft and subtle manners inspired me and taken care of me, and I've seen you doing that to hundreds of people that come across you, and that's nothing that you do, like you said, consciously. That's who you are, and thank you for being that. You really matter to a lot of people who come across you, and I guess because of the way you are, there are a lot of people who just get thrown at you because the universe knows that you will take care of all of us. Thank you for being that.
Thank you, Sonia. And my apologies. We have been trying to schedule it for a long time. I could not, get on a call with you for this. But now I realize I really something really interesting I delayed. But anyways, it happened.
There is a time for everything.
Yeah.